Generally on 420, Dogecoin does have very volatile.
Hey guys,
Everybody.
sorry, I'm just gonna mute everyone quick. Megan, you can unmute yourself. Jonny, you can unmute yourself as well.
Awesome. Was that Josh we were hearing?
It sure
Yes, that
sounded
was
like
Josh.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Amazing. Welcome, everybody. It's awesome to see everyone. And even let's see, what are you? A mouse head by Thomas Elsner. Thomas, welcome. We are super pumped to have Jonny here today. Jonny is the man for gaming generally, but also on Crypto Banter for his show Banter in the Game. He has so many projects going on. I don't know how you take time to breathe, Jonny, and actually enjoy life. But I do follow your Instagram, and I do see that you do enjoy life. So that's always
Try to.
A nice reminder. Gives me
business during the
FOMO.
day, relaxation during the evenings as much as possible.
That's what people say who live in Miami, but I don't know how true that is. I feel like it's just one giant party.
It's hard to escape that for sure. You just gotta have the discipline sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. You got to get work done. Exactly. Just like all the students here. Appreciate you guys coming. We haven't had Jonny on an AMA for crypto school since August of last year, which is special to have him today. He has a busy schedule, and we're excited to answer all of your questions, tell you guys more generally about Web3 gaming, why we're bullish on it, what projects to look out for, what the future holds for the space generally, talk about some L2s, game studios, whatever it comes up. We're excited to dive in with you. Welcome, Jonny. I feel like I need you to do I feel like your intro was like, in the game, yo, let's go. It's a very it's a good one. And I feel like we need it here on this.
Welcome into this edition of In the Game, Crypto School Edition. Let's go.
Welcome into this edition. Yeah, it's so good. It's so similar. I feel like we need a TikTok mashup of all of your welcome intros.
That would go viral.
It would. Amazing. Okay, so let's dive in. For everybody in the Zoom, definitely feel free to raise your hand, turn your video on if you want to have a chance to ask a question to Jonny directly. We'll bring you up just like we do during the live workshops throughout the course of the next hour. But what I think would be great to start out with, Jonny, is to just kind of frame the space. What is gaming in Web3? How is it different from Web2? And why are you excited about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So on a basic standpoint, the easiest way to term and understand gaming and crypto and the decentralized technology together is to use Fortnite as an example. I'm sure there's a lot of parents in the school session, or there are a lot of people who have bought a skin themselves, right? Or your kid has asked for the credit card to go buy skins. And imagine they could actually level up in those games, earn or buy those skins. And then they also have a tradable value, right? So weapon camos, armors, attachments, these things in traditional games, trading cards, sports assets, within Madden Ultimate Team, is that also a good example? Those don't carry over to the next game, and you cannot distribute or trade those assets. So a Battle Pass Season 1 asset, when it gets to Season 5, it's a rare asset at that point because you can't get that anymore. But unfortunately, the traditional model doesn't allow you to trade those assets. NFT gaming actually gives you ownership over those assets. And the only technology that can really do that in the space is decentralized technology. So in a nutshell, you just own everything inside of those gaming ecosystems. And initially, the Axie Infinities of the world showed that it was possible and that the ownership is in demand. And now, we're almost 24 months after Axie blew up. We're starting to see products do it in a I would say a 10 times capacity with the gameplay and what they're actually bringing to the table. So more so, it's just ownership inside of these games that you spend so much time or money in, because you should be able to monetize both of those. If you level up and you enjoy those experiences, you shouldn't have to, whenever the new Call of Duty comes out, abandon it, and then you feel like you've lost everything that you've worked for. So NFT technology and video games takes that out of the equation. You own all of your assets, and I think that's the simplest way to determine it.
Interesting. So it's an element of sort of progression, maybe early access for communities who own assets for the game, right? And they get kind of sneak peeks and maybe, alpha or drops before anyone else does. And then trading those assets in marketplaces as seasons and games progress.
And it more rewards you for being an early member of a game.
Yeah.
You know, the like I said, with the season 1, if you own a rare season 1 skin that nobody has in season 5 that joins the game, all of a sudden you could sell that to a season 5 player who really wants that, right? That's been traditional in these games like Warzone, Fortnite, Valorant. Luckily, CSGO allows trading. And I mean, we see 6-digit sales in CSGO. So digital assets in video games are there. And I think that whenever you just liken it to a collectible item, you know, sneakers, trading cards in the real, like, you know, Pokemon cards, sports cards, I think those are really good real world examples. And you just move that over to the gaming space, and there's a lot of examples as well.
So how does the actual trading of the asset in like CSGO happen? And how does that differ from how trading happens in Web3 with NFTs?
Yeah, so they're on, you know, luckily at least CSGO doesn't ban this technology, but they are on like third-party websites and on like the CSGO stores, for example, where you can go through, sell your CSGO skins. And recently one sold for $400,000. But the problem with these technologies, and the reason why NFTs are a more trusted method to do this, imagine going through a website and you trust that you're going to sell your CSGO account that you've put, I don't know, let's just say 240 hours into, 10 days worth of playtime, and you leveled up all these assets, you have these rare skins, you want to go trade it, but you're trusting an intermediary website to give your password to give your username to, and you're hoping that you're going to get that money back in return, where the blockchain technology is a seamless transaction. There's no middleman, it's peer-to-peer, and there's nothing that can get in between. It's immutable. So I think that that's the tech, like, even though they do have that feature, you know, and people have sold their RuneScape accounts for years, but it's just not a trusted platform. And the NFT technology is just a method of transaction that makes it peer-to-peer, not having to use a black market and no middleman.
Amazing. So it's cheaper too, right? The fees and just the trust is there. That's so interesting. I think
because the middleman's going to take a fee. The middleman's going to take a fee,
and then you're going to hope that it gets to the person who bought it and then you get your money back. I mean, that one example makes me really bullish on kind of the utility of Web3 and the blockchain in gaming. I mean, that's just one example. Could you tell us a little bit about royalties? Right. So if we think about the changes that have happened over the last couple of months with royalties and how this could impact games and studios building in this space and creators building in this space for monetization, right? Like, where do you see that heading? Royalties are crucial, right? For indie game devs, for studios, for NFT holders to be able to kind of make money in what they're building. So how does that change? Maybe you could speak a little bit towards your project specifically.
Yeah. As a founder in the space, it's a really easy one to kind of tackle. And we'll start with the game perspective. I think that Fortnite wouldn't sell skins if they didn't make money. And same kind of thing in the blockchain. Why would a blockchain game build and make it such a thorough ecosystem with players that want demand on these assets, but they can't make money as a studio? I don't think people understand how much money it takes to build a game, let alone sustain a game, run online servers for the game, for your players to be able to play in North America, India, the UK. That costs a lot of money to run these games. And if there's a demand on your marketplace, you should be able to get those royalties if you're a game studio or if you're in general just an NFT project. So in what traditional business do you not make money when your product sells, right? Yeah. So I really think the zero royalties thing, I just think it was a method to try to take market share away from OpenSea. More so, what business would move over to Web3 if they can't have those traditional monetization models and if the business can't cash flow at the end of the day? So I think royalties are needed in the space. I think the solution, if marketplaces go to zero royalties, is for these games to host their own marketplace. Because if a first-person shooter, let's just use Dead Drop, Dr. Disrespect's game as an example, if they have their own marketplace, they can bake in a small royalty and still monetize every transaction and be able to sustain running the servers and the game long term. So I just think in any traditional business model, when your product sells, how are you going to tell the CEO of that company
monetize.
that you're not making anything off of the sale of your product, right?
Yeah, it's not a business. And then, you know, the kind of meta now with NFTs and mints is like most of them are free, right? Which is an awesome opportunity. I think I'd love to dig in a little bit more for the community here, because why wouldn't you kind of want to go find these free mints and be one to claim one of them and figure out like where to go, what newsletters to follow, what marketplace to subscribe to, like whatever it may be. But question, like, I think you mentioned on your show yesterday something about a white labeled marketplace, right? So it takes more time to kind of build your own custom marketplace to control royalties for your game. But now we have solutions coming out that can power studios or indie game devs to kind of leverage and not have to rebuild everything, right?
Yes. So that was Altura, for example, and
Altura.
they're doing some cool things, not like just from a tech perspective. A normal game developer who knows nothing about smart contracts, blockchain, how to code, how to make it,
Right.
you know, these things that, you know, in my mind, it's foreign, right? You need to get developers to do this stuff. There's no way I could dive in as a product expert or someone who focuses on this or this. I don't know the blockchain side of things. So like Altura can plug NFTs into a normal game for you. And then also they are able to white label a marketplace for you. So if you don't know how to build the back end tech of a blockchain marketplace, they can do that. So it's awesome that there's these services, because then the builders can focus on what they do, is build products, games, etc. Yeah.
Marketing. Interesting. Yeah, that's exciting. I think is there a token?
There is. Yeah. ALU is the ticker.
Is it too late? Is it too late? Is the buy zone good?
It's up 40% during this run, but it is only a $28 million market cap. I mean, I think, hey, next cycle, I think, this valuation will be peanuts to what it is then, but not here to talk.
Not here to shill. Okay.
Tokens, exactly.
I got it. Okay, awesome. So could you talk a little bit about free mints. How many people here, Jackie, if we could run a poll on YouTube, it'd be interesting to hear how many people own an NFT. I don't think we've even asked our students that. We get, we have like 5,000 students a month. How many of you guys have minted an NFT or bought one on a secondary marketplace? Chaos says many. No.
Megan, just a quick question. So are you able to start the polls app? I think you joined after me, so I can't start them right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I am actually. Never done it, but let's do it live.
To answer the question on the NFTs, if y'all saw my RIP NFT wallet, all the dead projects with no liquidity, it would be a graveyard and it would be comedy.
Same, man. And like the worst are the ones that people just send you,
Oh, the worst.
God,
never interact with the hidden folder.
No, I know.
While you're setting that up, there is a question in the chat from Alex. She has a hand up.
Hey, Alex, feel free to jump in and ask your question.
There you go.
Hi, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sort of game fascinated. I have a bunch of questions. One, you talked about Fortnite. And so full disclosure, my business was putting celebrities into brand endorsements. And I'm sure you saw the Travis Scott Fortnite thing, right? And just what was interesting about that deal is his typical fee was really low, but he made a shit ton of money right off the merch. And do you see that as something that's going to continue to develop and evolve in that space? That's the first question. The second is Asia is a huge gaming market. And do you think that do you think they're going to surpass the US and they need to look to get into the US market, or they can survive in dealing with the greater Asia market? And the third question, sorry for so many, I thought I'd get them all out, is on the coins. I've noticed as I'm looking at them, a lot of them are not on the major exchanges. Do you have exchanges that you like and where you put your gaming portfolios with your coins?
Yeah,
sorry, a lot of questions.
All good. I love every one of them. So we'll start from the top. On the celebrities inside of games and that kind of model, I think it's absolutely going to continue. And actually, I would say that it's a much better route than these celebrities who don't understand the NFT space launching their own collections, and it basically rugs in like a week's time. We've seen that so many times recently. Soulja Boy's getting the heat of it now. He just did like so many mints in a short period of time and they're all basically worthless. I actually think that the products that are good in the space, yes, they should absolutely integrate celebrities, and the celebrities could monetize the mints of their character or their merch in a proven product that actually knows what NFT technology takes to be successful and understands the marketing. So yes, on that question, I think that that's absolutely going to be a thing in the future. We haven't really seen it yet, but I do think, we will see that technology evolve over time. On the second question, which was the Asia gaming markets, there are some projects that are gearing towards that market. I haven't seen it tapped into yet. I know that like Avalanche, for example, they just partnered up with a huge conglomerate over in Asia, 50 million users. So that is, obviously a really big pool of users that Avalanche is trying to pull from there in the Asia gaming markets. I haven't seen it successfully done yet, though. I think it's an untapped market, and I see you're kind of raising your hand.
I think you're muted, Alex.
Yeah, let me help you out there. Let's just make a rule.
I guess, sorry to interrupt you. I guess the reverse is true. So I was just consulting with a Chinese gaming company, and they're doing a mobile game. And what they've said to me, it's a strategy game. And they're like, it's going to be huge in Asia. They want an American market, but they don't think the game is going to play well in the US. So, and they're actually using a celebrity to endorse it. I can't talk much more about it because we're NDA, but I wonder if that's going to be a reverse strategy too. Like, because, Tencent, 4399, Alibaba, right? They have so much money and the market's so robust there.
I think it's interesting for sure. Like I said, I haven't seen it done successfully, but I'm seeing pretty cool projects on the Asian markets building in Web3. If they can successfully tap in with these bigger conglomerates, like you said, like Tencent, for example, Tencent's with Avalanche as well. It'd be really interesting to see if that market can cross over. I do know a bunch of US developers trying to tap into it on the reverse side, right? Tap into that Asia market. But that's an interesting concept on the Asia markets trying to tap into the US. Definitely the game style, like Call of Duty Mobile is bigger there than it is like the normal Call of Duty games. So it's definitely a different type of market. It'll be interesting to see if it can transition over to the US. And then on the third question, is I personally use decentralized exchanges. I buy a lot of these gaming tokens on like a Uniswap or a Pancake Swap, Kyber Swap, for example. I don't keep any tokens on a centralized exchange, to be completely honest. I'm a big proponent of having your own seed phrase, have that MetaMask, have your ledger handy. I got one of my ledgers here always, but I think self-custody is most important. I try to make all my transactions when I'm buying a token on a hot wallet, and then I'll send it into my cold wallet, like on a ledger, for example. I would recommend most tokens when they first launch, even if they're not on KuCoin, Mexi, Coinbase, Binance, they're always going to be on Uniswap, Pancake Swap, or Kyber Swap, or Quick Swap, or these types of decentralized exchanges. That would be my you can always get the contract address on CoinMarketCap and then be able to find it and buy it there. That would be the best method to get in early too, because once it hits Coinbase, it's really hard to be chasing it at that point.
Cool, thank you. That was really helpful. And when our China's game launches here, I'll just send it to you. If you're curious, you can take a look at it. It's an awesome,
definitely curious.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you for the questions.
Something I'm curious about, Jonny, is L2s like IMX and Polygon versus L1s that are sort of building or focusing in a big way with gaming. How do you see them? How are they different? How are they similar? What do you see the future for Poly, IMX versus AVAX or others?
Kind of like I view it as multi-console, cross-console gameplay in the traditional space. When it started, games were only on PlayStation, only on Xbox, or only on PC. And then you couldn't play with your friends on the other console. It used to be that way, right? Now Fortnite, the biggest PC games in the world, the biggest console games in the world, they're all cross-platform. So you can, cross over and play with other consoles on the same video games, where in the past that technology didn't exist. I think up front, we're going to see the kind of same thing before we all preach interoperability. We want to see interoperable ecosystems, right? And the problem is, IMX and Polygon are a lot different than like Avalanche, for example. Avalanche has their own subnets where a game can build on layer 1 technology and make their own blockchain. But as of now, the Avalanche players most likely can't hop in with the Polygon and IMX players at this moment in time on these games. I do think eventually there will be some sort of cross-pollination between these blockchains and these ecosystems where you can choose what you want to use. Games will integrate more and more blockchains over time. And I believe, if you look at an example, Shrapnel first-person shooter, they just did 3 different mints, one on Ethereum, one on Polygon, and one on Avalanche. So they're kind of gearing up towards that. So on the front-facing end, if you are able to just log in with your username and password, then you can just choose what chain you want to, do business on, basically, kind of like people can choose PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. I think that would be the ultimate solution to be able to kind of bring all these chains together. And then games don't have to just choose one. Because I think the problem with that is there's IMX maxis, there's Polygon maxis, there's Avalanche maxis, Solana maxis. But what if you're able to just jump into an ecosystem and they offer you 5 different blockchains to choose from? So I think up front, it is going to be sectored, but I think over time, we're going to see more and more games really just wanting to integrate on as many chains as possible. And at that point, I think that's going to be the most powerful for these games.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. Minting multiple collections across different chains is a good tactic. And you're right, if the game is not on chain, it's just a game and you're deciding kind of which NFT you want to play with or trade in their marketplace.
And ultimately, this is just the technology on top of the games. Big fan of the games themselves, but the technology on top is literally all they're adding to the games. But it's a power to the players at that point, and you don't have to trade your assets. People should focus on the game, but then if you want to, you go online, you connect your MetaMask on whatever chain of choice eventually, and you can trade your assets. It's the best of both worlds, and it's just a layer on top of the game.
Right, that probably most gamers won't really care about a year from now. But us in the space now care a lot about, and there's so many maxis in the different communities, but that makes a lot of sense. And probably to onboard the masses into crypto, I know gaming is a very powerful kind of tool for it, given how many people just like to play fun games already, right? Speaking of that, what are your top 5 the most fun Web3 NFT games that you enjoy, and the time off that you take from creating content and building a NFT community?
Really hard. It's tough. It's hard to name 5 right now that you can play. You can jump in. I'll discuss some that I think are fantastic. Dead Drop, I think, is got a ton of potential. You can play online in a lobby full of players already. I think Dead Drop's got a really good product. Undead Blocks is fun. The play to earn side just went live. If you like Call of Duty Zombies, Undead Blocks is definitely right up your alley. Other than that, I'm a first person shooter fan personally, but I think that on a mobile perspective, honestly, I was a big fan of this in the bull run, and I'm going to say the game's still fantastic. Fate and Arena is still one of the best games to ever hit the mobile side of the blockchain. WAGMI Games is another one on the mobile side. So not just the high-end PC games, but trying to also provide some mobile games out there for anyone who does enjoy the mobile experiences on your phone or your iPad, Androids, etc. So I would say, Dead Drop, definitely. Shrapnel, from what I've seen, I haven't got hands on, but I've seen the gameplay. Definitely going to fall in that top 5. Illuvium's open world gameplay, I hopped in, fantastic. Unfortunately, some of these just aren't live for the public, but very good products, cooking up in the background. So I would say definitely Dead Drop, Shrapnel, Undead Blocks, Illuvium, and then for a mobile product that's newer, I would say WAGMI Games.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, speaking of games that aren't open for the public, now, do most of these games, have they minted NFTs, and do the community that holds the NFTs get access early to the game?
A lot of them do. A lot of them, that's kind of the gateway into to play the alpha at that point in time, right? Alpha, beta gameplay. But eventually, a lot of these games will be free to play. The onboarding mechanism for the NFTs for a lot of these games are just going to be skins or early access, token airdrops, stuff like that. But eventually, a lot of these ecosystems, thankfully, will be free to play because that's how it's going to be mass adopted. You can't tell a gamer, go download MetaMask first before you play this game. That's never going to work.
Yeah, totally not going to make it. Jackie, question?
Hi. So I'm answering questions on behalf of the people on the YouTube stream. So Big Ben was asking, Jonny, I'm interested in your thoughts on Monkey Ball. Do you think it will take off in the next bull run? And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Nakamoto Games.
Yeah,
no, Monkey Ball is what every banter Twitter PFP is. I'm like, my gosh, it's all just a bunch of monkeys.
When I joined Banter November 2021, it was even more monkey profile pictures. I do think that the game actually just went live for testing on the test flight on the App Store. It does look pretty solid. My only drawback is that it's a little more turn-based than active gameplay. But other than that, I do think that it has a lot of potential as far as product perspective, and in the market, I bet it does do really well in the next cycle personally. And the team's really good. They're pushing relentlessly to get the product out there. And mobile games, there's just not a lot of fun ones yet. So if there's an experience while I'm on the go that I can hop on the phone for 5-10 minutes and play a couple of rounds, maybe earn some NFTs, I think it's going to be fantastic in that regard. So a first adopter in the mobile space, they definitely have a lot of potential. And then Nakamoto Games, definitely, they're building a really, it's like an in-house gaming studio, you could almost say, in a way, like a Gala, like a Miria, kind of like these platforms like Ultra, for example. So I think Nakamoto Games does have a lot of potential as well. Doesn't get as much public hype from a lot of products and like content creators, etc. But I think Naka has really good potential, especially in the next cycle, given its market cap.
Nice. I think they were happy with their answers. And then there was one more on the YouTube stream. This one was from Pump. Pump was asking, does Chainlink help with the, let's say, the bridging between the chains on your games? Just following the topic you guys were chatting about a bit earlier.
Yeah. I actually saw a tweet. I showed it on the show maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. But Chainlink was like, imagine a world where you don't have to choose a blockchain, right? Where they have that back-end technology where boom, boom, it's the term interoperability again. But yeah, I do think Chainlink will play a role in that. Chainlink, I feel like it gets buried in the market all the time and the chart never looks good, but I think the product perspective on Chainlink is going to be that solution to potentially bring these games to multi-chain without you even having to feel like it is multi-chain.
Interesting. So would it be an end user product they would develop that would be powered by oracles and what they're building?
Something on the back end, they posted like a graphic, like a diagram about like your transaction going from Polygon into like a centralized model that they build on the back end that can distribute over to like the Ethereum chain, same asset, like basically the seamless transaction from one chain to the other, despite your buyer having to be on the same blockchain or not. So it really interesting. That's definitely a long-term technology, but Chainlink definitely is working on that.
Yeah, I feel like Sheldon and the Sniper team are pretty bullish on Chainlink. Generally, they talk about it a lot, and I see it up in their bubbles all the time. So I mean, it's hard not to be bullish on whatever they're bullish on, to be honest. But yeah, don't FOMO an NFA, I guess, especially since we're both in the US. Hustle.
Yeah, exactly. I see one in the Zoom chat too. While we're talking like mobile games. Heroes of Mavia is really looking good. I see that one here in the Zoom chat. What do I think of Heroes of Mavia? I think that has the potential to be the best mobile game once it does come out in crypto. I really do think so. My only drawback is it is a complete copycat of a Web3 or a Web2 mobile game, but at the same time, it's one of the most monetized and most successful mobile games of all time. So honestly, I think Mavia is going to really kill it once that game goes live.
Do you know when it's going live and who's behind it?
So Scryce Studios is the name. Mavia.com is the official website there. And the game should be going live later this year. I believe the token TGE will be this summer, and then the game should go live later this year.
Interesting. Okay. I see another one. Do you know about Gaia Everworld or MetaHero?
Meta Hero looks cool. The tech's really ambitious. I wonder if they can pull it off long term, but Meta Hero definitely looks cool. And I think when the metaverse narrative kicks back, because like gaming's been in the light, the L1s, L2s, AI, Metaverse hasn't really gotten love in a long time. So once the next Metaverse key developments come across, because we see the gaming sphere and the AI, the developments are so rapid that narrative continues. But I think Metaverse will come back into the light once we see more from like Meta, Facebook, Apple with their VR experiences. Those are going to drive the hype for the coins inside of the crypto space. So I think for like Meta Hero, for example, it's got some runway. The tech's ambitious, but that's never stopped projects from continuing to build towards it. I think the Metaverse narrative needs to come back for something like that, though.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about AI and gaming and its application and use case specifically in Web3. But first, could you tell us your definition of a metaverse?
A metaverse is a world that I can dive into and feel completely detached from reality, in my opinion. So it would need to be such an immersive experience that I feel like I have completely escaped, real world, because the real world's a metaverse. We're immersed in it every day, right? But like a wilder world, for example, like something that's like, I don't think Sandbox is a metaverse. Personally speaking, that's a game. Decentraland isn't a metaverse, in my opinion. It's not a world you seriously immerse yourself in and you want to be there, right? So I think it's a different type of experience that is a full-blown world that when you step in, it is completely different than what you live in reality. And to me, when I play a game on a screen, that's not a metaverse.
Interesting. Okay, so there's a hardware component, which you mentioned maybe Apple and the rest kind of bring out there in the Oculus, right? As that becomes maybe more mainstream or less disruptive to kind of sitting in a screen all day long, because we kind of already do that anyways. So I wonder about like how appealing that is. But I think as the hardware changes, it could get easier to kind of plug in and plug out and really feel immersed. But then also it's more about the IP look and feel uniqueness of the game or metaverse that we're talking about. That's interesting.
And I think a lot of people who have used the VR headsets have dealt with the motion sickness from some of the games. Like, you'll get dizzy real quick, your head will hurt. So I think that's going to get tailored over time, and eventually it'll be right, and it might end up being that next generation type of gaming console. But also that's where the metaverse, the virtual reality side of things would come in. So it's going to need a lot of fine tuning, but I do think that, that hardware will catch on a little more. And if Zuckerberg's trying to get all these people linked into his master plan of the metaverse, it's going to have to move along and not be such a sickening experience. Cause I can't put a headset on and not get a headache after 10 minutes of certain games.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? It is. Yeah. I just can't get that video of Zuck coming up to you and offering you a hot dog in his metaverse out of my mind ever. I don't know if I ever want to go into his metaverse. I just always
think of the picture of him walking through the conference room and everyone has the headsets on, but him. He just looks so diabolical.
It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, I don't think he's going to make it in this space generally. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people from Chainlink actually came from like Meta and what they were trying to do with Libra and everything. But bullish on kind of what Web3 gaming and kind of what that experience could look like in a VR kind of reality. I think it'll be interesting, and the timing could work out well, right? As the space develops and big studios come in and like hire and build in Web3 natively. It could time up well with like improvements in the hardware, right? On the VR side.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. The timelines do line up.
Yeah. So tell us about AI and gaming. I mean, I know you and Miles both put out kind of videos over the last couple of weeks about AI and kind of how it's going to impact the space. And I think it's just something that most people are talking about right now, no matter what part, what business you're doing online, right? So why is it interesting, and how will it kind of change either maybe esports or games generally, how they think about marketing, creating assets, creating content? Yeah. What do you think that does, maybe in the short term and medium term?
Yeah. So kind of on like different blocks, in business, I think, this is revolutionary. You can cut down your workload. You can basically shortcut your job. You can have it do your work for you, right? Like what ChatGPT can do is literally almost limitless at this point. People like Elon Musk think it's going to eventually get out of hand and the AI is going to become too powerful, right? But in certain industries, I do see that being the case. I think that AI can do really good in certain businesses and if it's used correctly. But let's just say in gaming, there's a couple of things. So in gaming, I've seen so far, people program AI hacking bots and they put them in mainstream games like Valorant, like CSGO, and they literally don't touch the keyboard. They start the game and this AI it's literally all headshots and they kill everyone in the lobby and you can't do anything about it. So AI and cheating in games, really big issue, especially Web3 games, which they just want users at this point in time and money is on the line. Like people's hard-earned dollars are being risked every single game. It's no longer just a casual online match where you run into a cheater. Big issue for sure. And they're going to have to overcome, picking up if someone's using software, AI in the background on their games, or if they're even cheating in the slightest point. So I think as far as gaming, it's a volatile subject. I think right now we're seeing very bad. I've seen it happen. Like I've watched videos of cheaters with AI and they're not even touching the keyboard. So right now, I think it's definitely not good for the gaming industry. As far as business and the capabilities there, you would never want to see people get replaced by AI. But I think with the power of a human brain being able to get the AI to do exactly what they need it to, or give them that information in a much more rapid pace, I think it just cuts down the workload. And I'm personal that I would never want to see businesses be overtaken. I think the mind of the entrepreneurs can't be replaced by an AI, no matter how quick or smart they might be from an internet level. I just think the wherewithal of a human on decision making is going to outlast it from the top down. We'll see, but AI is definitely going to disrupt. It's going to put a lot of people out of jobs in certain industries for sure. And that's just reality.
So do you use it daily when you prep for your show?
I actually don't use ChatGPT when I prep for my show, but I actually, whenever I'm doing website development stuff, like building out home pages or landing pages or new things, I will absolutely use the prompts to give me what I need, to give me the best. Write me a summary of this, and this, boom. And it gives me like a 3-paragraph rundown, better than I could type it. So I think more so, or if you want to write a marketing or running an ad, there's so many things you can plug into ChatGPT and it does way better than a human can, because they use all the prompts and the hooks and the things that, a human sometimes just can't if they're trying to copyright something themselves.
Totally. We've got a referral bounty out right now for Sniper School, which we launched about 2 weeks ago. And Tomer, who runs Sniper School, asked, he sent me like a prompt. He was like, okay, let's use this post for Discord, right? And this is a little behind the scenes for the students listening. Let's post in Discord, tell the students, send an email about the referral bounty. So he sent me copy text and I said, yeah, that sounds pretty good, but I'll run it through ChatGPT and see what it has to say. He's like, I already ran it through ChatGPT and gave it ChatGPT. So that was kind of a moment where I realized like, oh man, we're headed for zero. Like we're all just going to get replaced. But no, it does help a lot. And I think if you can tweak the output and give it really specific inputs, like, it's game changing. I'm excited to see what it can do with art too. I think in NFTs, obviously art is a big component. Even art just for social media, right? Like art, look at what Sappy Seals does with their Instagram, making like awesome animations and like just stuff that people enjoy, people that identify with using an IP, but then making different iterations without as much effort is pretty exciting.
On the art side, it's a two-way street, because I feel like it made rug pull NFTs much more easy. You just say, make me 10,000 variations of this type of a character. And then boom, they're able to launch it and they can just, get their rug pull out without having to pay an artist, for example. But hey, it could also slow down the development curve, and products that are good could also use it to their advantage. But a lot of the stuff with AI currently in the blockchain space, I see as a negative, to be honest. Just because it can be used for the wrong ways.
Totally. And I think it's an issue for gaming generally, but especially an issue for where there's real money and tokens
Absolutely.
at stake for Web3 gaming. So let's see how it all kind of develops. I think it'll cause a lot of teams to really pivot and rethink, especially marketing and onboarding when it comes to attracting players, right? Obviously, play to earn has been dead for a while. Play and earn is kind of okay, like great, interesting. But price pools and being able to transact on chain with, USDC that you can then off ramp and use for real things is a pretty like great selling point for Web3 gaming. So
Yeah.
let's see how that kind of changes. Okay. Anything else? Let's see. I mean, I'm curious about, let's see, let me read the chat real quick. Anything that we've missed? Steppin'. I haven't heard that one in a hot minute. I feel like this week has been all about Pepe and Chad. I was dying.
Pepe, Kermit.
Yeah, Pepe. What the hell is that thing? And why is everyone aping? And did you ape? We're getting a little off topic, but they probably do have a game. Who really knows? I don't know.
I think Pepe is just a pure meme coin. I did ape.
You did ape.
I did ape. It's up substantial X's that I'm uncomfortable with at this point. Like it's wild. Like we focus so much to find these gems, these actual products in the space, and then overnight Pepe launches, and it has a higher market cap than Vulcan Forge, for Christ's sake. What is happening? What is happening?
What is happening? I'm a little jealous I didn't ape. I'm not degen enough for the banter community, I don't think.
I dabble in the degen. I do dabble in the dark corner degen plays.
So tell us about that. Like, tell us, okay, so obviously like altcoin season, kind of like, Bitcoin dominance is changing, like leading up to sort of alts. Could you tell us a little bit about your portfolio? Do you talk about that? Are you comfortable with it? And like what games, how do you split it up? I think it's something that Sheldon talks about briefly and did a little last week, but it'd be interesting to hear your take.
Yeah, I think like any responsible investor, I do have a lot of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the largest holding in my portfolio because I do think like that adoption long-term is inevitable.
Yeah.
And obviously Ethereum, I'm a huge holder of Matic, Avalanche. I have my portfolio here pulled up on my right screen here. Ultra, I'm a big holder of Ultra, big holder of Altura, Gala, I've been a long-term holder on, Superverse, stuff like Veracity, for example. It's like a streaming ad technology, Vulcan Forge. I like to personally prioritize infrastructure in crypto gaming because here's what I would preach to anybody. Imagine you're in Web 2 and you're a venture capitalist. Fortnite launches. Your job is to invest in the next Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Guess what? It has never happened to this point in time. Nothing has derailed Fortnite. There isn't going to be a next Fortnite because Fortnite is a one-of-one product. It's the best metaverse in the world at this moment in time as far as worlds and the crossover. Darth Vader, LeBron James, Goku from Dragon Ball Z. They have everything in their world. Imagine trying to be an investor to knock that off, right? So in my opinion, I try to not invest as heavily, really small plays on individual games that I have conviction on. I would way rather back Vulcan Forge, who's pushing 10 games, an infrastructure like a blockchain in-house. They have their own marketplaces. Gala, who's pushing like 18 plus games at this moment in time. Ultra, who's going to have 150 games on their platform. Imagine you have the early investment chance at Steam, Epic Games, Activision. Yeah. That's the stuff I'm trying to catch early. And you're going to have a basket of games. One of them succeeds, and then that platform that hosts it is going to succeed in accordance to it. So in my opinion, infrastructures need to be the bigger part of your portfolio if you're betting on Web3 gaming, and the smaller plays should be the games, because like I said, it's really hard to pick which game's actually going to come out on top. And even if the game looks good, the tokenomics could make it not a good investment. So really, focus on the infrastructures. And I would say you're going to do really well long-term. Stuff that are either integrating lots of games onto their platform, stuff that's like a blockchain, like Polygon or Immutable X, for example, or Avalanche, or stuff like Altura, who's able to insert NFTs into the games of developers who don't know anything about NFTs.
Totally. Okay. So these are essentially Web3 publishers. I mean, they do have infra, but they're publishing lots of games through their platform.
Publishers, distributors, and then like the blockchain infrastructures, and like Altura, who really does like provide infrastructure. They can put NFTs in your game, the white label marketplaces, stuff like that. So like really the stuff that powers the games and the distributors. I think that's where the big money is. And in my portfolio, that's my heavier allocations. And the smaller bets are individual games that I have convictions in.
Interesting. So if you wanted to make a bet on an individual game, how do you do it when it comes to a token versus the NFT? Or do you buy both? Or how do you approach that? And
really tough. Like I only have like 4 games in my token portfolio right now at this moment in time, because individual game tokens aren't the narrative, and they just haven't been in a long time. Really, since the bull market, individual game tokens really have been a negative in the space, I would say. And a lot of them are unfortunately used for earnings inside the game. So people, what do? They sell the tokens. So I would say in my portfolios across my wallets, I definitely have way more gaming NFTs than game tokens, like individual game tokens. Obviously, my portfolio is dominated by crypto gaming projects, but like I said, more the infrastructures and the distributors and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like they're both volatile, because a lot of the times people buy the NFTs, they mint it, the game comes out, the game's not that great. All of a sudden, the NFTs tank and the token tanks. So as far as an investment goes, I would just say, get into NFTs in games that you genuinely enjoy, and understand that right now you're not going to pick 100%. But if you generally have conviction and it's a good product and the team is building and they are building relentlessly, and the NFT isn't used for some sort of funky play to earn earnings model, then I would say probably NFTs at this point are the better play inside of these games that are solid. But come the next bull cycle, the tokens are probably going to do 10 times what the NFTs do.
Interesting. So interesting. And a lot of these games are doing free mints, right? With NFTs. So you don't even have to spend your ETH or whatever, maybe your Matic to go and mint. I mean, there is so much on, for instance, Magic Eden that's free. Multiple mints a day, right? So that's really fun to see. I think gives so many more people the opportunity to go and figure out what's special, what's interesting to them in gaming and Web3.
Yeah, I agree. I think that having a paid mint is okay, but also offering a free entry into the platform for someone who just wants to get involved and they can get their first asset. Yeah, I think the free avenue and free to play is obviously fantastic, and that's going to be the model long term. But I do think having like a free entry into your ecosystem, even if it's just the base level skin, I think that that's a really good method. Like Dr. Disrespect's game did that, for example. The very first skin was free, and the second one was only $50. And, he was able to curate that community, get a lot of people in the door. And then if you wanted that founder's pass, it was only $50. So,
So we're not talking like,
and that's worth, I think, $1,000. I think it's now worth $1,000, that founder's pass, for example. So if you curate right and you bet on the right games and products that are building the community correctly, you can definitely find those gems inside the gaming NFT space.
Right. I agree. So where can we peep your NFT portfolio?
Oh gosh.
What's your ENS?
My ENS.
Or do you have like 50 wallets?
I have about 50 wallets for the sake of people not front running me. Unfortunately, as a show host, I do feel like, if the wallets are all public and they can just front run everything that happens in my wallet, and that the show, they can basically front run the shows, and it's never about buying before. But I definitely don't like the idea of people overviewing my every move on chain. So I do have about 10 wallets, I would say. Interesting.
I hope we don't have any cryptologists in the audience. Hopefully not. Hey,
it's all good. My terrible NFT portfolio, which my hidden folder is a graveyard. You can just find it at Hustle. I think it's just Hustle. Let me find it. If someone wants to just peep one of my NFT portfolios on OpenSea, it's Hustle_NFT. And I got a bunch of terrible NFTs in there. I think maybe only a couple are worth anything. And yeah, that's one of my wallets. So there you go.
All right, done. Amazing. Okay.
Definitely not my vault though. There's a bunch of there I will never be able to sell.
Yeah. Below zero. Gas would cost more even on a day.
Oh yeah, the hidden folder is terrible. Oh.
Amazing. This has been so fun. Someone's asked about Steppen again. Is it still worth it? I would not buy in that token personally.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I think that meta is dead. I don't see how it's sustainable. The tokenomics aren't great. To be honest, I would, if you're in and you're in too deep already and you got in really early, it might be worth it to just keep on walking. But right now, I wouldn't get into the ecosystem.
Your health will have more of an ROI than the actual investment if you buy some right now, which makes
keeping people healthy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's something for everyone in Web3, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, this has been so much fun. Jackie, anyone else have any questions we wanted to address quickly before we let Hustle go? I know you've got a show coming up, or no show today. Okay, but now we know.
Show today.
All right, I'm gonna go give Keelan a hard time now. Just kidding.
Cool.
Keelan.
I just have one question. This is probably gonna be one that Simon would ask as well. So for those of the people looking to get into gaming and NFTs, or just getting active, you mentioned you have your hardware wallet. I've got mine as well. It's very important to do that. So this is jumping on the safety side of things. When you're playing all your games, obviously most of these games have like internal wallets in their apps, right? So you have all your NFTs on the internal wallet, but you mentioned something which was moving all your assets onto your hardware wallet when you want to keep them safe. But in these cases, most of the time, you need the asset on the internal wallet to, let's say, use it in your game. Do you have a way to combat this? I think that's the question. Basically, using it all the time versus storing it.
Yep. So I, with the 10 wallet strategy, right? So my hot wallet, I would keep all my gaming NFT assets that I'm connecting the wallets to the platforms. A lot of these platforms do require you to connect a MetaMask. Never put your vaults, never put your cold wallets, never hook up something that if it gets compromised, that you're going to lose everything that you have on your wallets, right? So when you're connecting to games, always use a hot wallet that doesn't really have anything but gaming NFTs in it that you are connecting day to day. But as far as internal wallets, I'm really not a fan. There's a couple of ecosystems that like Vulcan Forge that has an internal wallet. And it's decently safe, for example, but like self-custody is everything in this space. And we've seen stuff happen in the past. And, despite Myria, a great project, also has an internal wallet, and you lose custody at that point. There's no seed phrase. So it's really hard to, juggle what's going to be safe and what's not. I honestly try if a game only has an internal wallet system, I honestly try to steer a little clear just from a safety perspective and from a security perspective. I like to have my assets in my wallet. And if my hot wallet somehow gets compromised because it's all user error, unfortunately, in this space, if something happens, it is user error, unfortunately. But I think that in general, if the platform's good, you can probably trust it. Like Vulcan Forged, I do have my Forge wallets and I do have assets like lands and stuff like that I don't have my custody over, but I trust that Vulcan Forge isn't going anywhere and that their internal software is built out and strong enough to host those assets. So in general, I try not to use these internal transfer wallets that I lose custody of my assets if I absolutely have to. And if the game or project is high enough on my list of conviction, I'll do it. But only use a hot wallet when you're interacting with these games, guys. I would really advise, don't put your shrapnel, whenever your shrapnel comes out and you want to use a character, don't go into your NFT vault that has 100 high value NFTs. Use a wallet that has your RIP NFTs, like the one I just shared, for example.
Awesome. Yeah, you definitely answered the question there. Yeah, I think that's all from my side. There are a few questions in the chat, but unfortunately, we don't have all the time in the world. Megan, did you manage to sort that poll out? It
Oh
would be
yeah,
interesting to
let me tell you
see.
the results. So, it's super interesting. I've been trying to pitch Ran. We were trying to pitch Ran on NFTs for school for a hot minute, so maybe this will change his mind. It's a tough sell. Do you own an NFT? 43% said yes, 57% said no. And then I followed up with the second question, are you interested in NFTs, minting an NFT? 67% said yes, and 33% said no. They're just token degens. So that's interesting. Yeah, I love to hear it. I think there's a lot of interest, and so many people that know, are here because they want to learn to trade and understand what crypto is all about, but still don't know anything about NFTs or haven't mentioned one yet. And that makes me hopeful about where the space is headed personally.
Yeah, I think that there's still not a lot of new adoption to happen on the NFT side, which in turn does help the NFT gaming industry. There's going to be a lot more users that onboard to NFTs strictly because of video games.
Yep. 100%, especially with wallets like Sequence and the super easy. You can just sign in with your Gmail, right? And it creates a wallet for you in the background. It's huge. It's huge for the space. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. And sir, we will see you in Miami.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. It seems like the whole crew's coming down. That's going to be a good Banter fam get together. I'm stoked for that.
That'll be interesting. I think we'll have a few stories to share after that.
Yeah.
Holidays. Awesome.
So,
thanks, Jonny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just one last question, if I may. This one is basically just to get everyone's insights. So we obviously, this is the second sort of MA that we've done with you now. But a lot has changed from then till now. Then we were still sort of like coming down from a hard crash. The question I'd like to ask, just to wrap this all up, is where do you think the sentiment is, and where do you think it's going to be for gaming?
Yeah. I think that, from a current perspective, I think we've seen the worst of it. Even if macro markets go down a little bit, I think from the crypto and the Web3 side of things, first and foremost, we have seen the worst. We've seen the toxic waste get flushed out with like the FTXs, the Loon, like that was the toxic waste leaving the space. And then that recent, I do think the downside has been reached, even if we go down a little lower. The sentiment for gaming is, a lot of people are still questionable. They haven't seen the good games yet. They haven't seen the products actually deliver. But I think what people also mistake is $7 billion got invested into the space last year from venture capital. That's going to take 18 months at least for that capital to turn into product. I think patience will be a virtue in this space. And myself, Elio Trades, Alex Becker, Bryson, a lot of us, we see this as the biggest onboarding mechanism, not in just NFTs, but crypto in general. Like the use case, how easy it is to describe to the average person. I think the sentiment now is, just a below medium. I from a 1 to 10 scale, I feel like the sentiment's like a 4 right now, because we just haven't seen it work full time yet in a game that continues its player base beyond like 3 months, honestly. But I think we're going to get there. And once that timeline plays out, I think that gaming won't just be the biggest sector in NFTs, but in all of crypto, personally. Let's go. I'm pumped about that. Bullish. I just think it's the easiest adoption curve for someone to understand the technology. And 100%. Eventually people are their kids are going to understand what NFTs are. And that's like when the people who are playing on their devices, the kids can actually think about learning business skills basically at such a young age. And they're already playing these games 24 hours a day, not 24 hours, obviously, but a lot of the culture now is iPad culture. They're attached to the screens all the time. So I think the learning curve here is going to be really easy once it does adopt. And this industry has more upside. I think maybe AI would be the only competing industry in crypto if that was to like have some really good projects come up eventually. But I think gaming's the biggest onboarding mechanism by far. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know what else would be aside from gaming, to be honest. I mean, collectibles is niche, right? Art and PFPs. I mean,
a couple of big ones. There's reasons why the communities are strong. You've got the gods and the rest, like a tight knit group, but gaming is just, yeah, I think it will outlast all of that.
I agree.
And if we can get that thing of ours, NFTs for any type of giveaways, you know, like winners for the cohort or next cohort, you do let us know.
Yeah, we have a good vault of them in our team wallet. We could definitely put a couple up for a giveaway.
Okay, we got to replace some of those monkeys, right?
Honestly,
the more fire art, personally speaking.
Yeah, but not. This is just truth. I think these are higher floor price anyway.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. The alpha, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jonny. Have a good
Yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Take it easy.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, students. See you in the Discord. Peace.
Sweet, everyone. Thanks for joining.